understanding how big you are and how fast you're growing is really important. When looking online at blogs and all the other things that talk about scaling, they talk about high availability and disaster recovery and all these things, and there's lots of references to large systems. But when you start to press for some numbers, things become a little bit vague. And there's a reason. That's because determining your scale is hard. And it's more of an art than an exact science. And that's because it's not just one thing, it's a function of four things. Your data size, we know about this a lot, so that's Confluence spaces and pages in Jira, how many projects or issues do you have? How many comments are there and attachments? Attributes like custom fields and issue types and schemes. How many boards have you got in Jira? That all contributes to the scale of your system. But we also need to know about usage patterns. So, that's the number of users, obviously, but not just the number of users and number of concurrent users, but what are they actually doing? What is the pattern of what they're doing? Some of you will probably know it only takes one person writing a REST query that asks for all the things to bring your system to its knees. So it's not just the number of users, but very much what they're doing. The configuration of your system, what plugins have you got? Some plugins require their own memory requirements. My beloved portfolio for Jira is very resource hungry, for example. How many workflow step executions do you have? Those post functions and transitions, they all have an overhead. How many scheduled jobs and services are there? That all contributes to how your system is going to grow. And of course, the deployment environment. Everything from the Jira version you're on, the server, the OS and its file system, the database, the JVM, all these things are functions of how big your system is, and things you need to be across and aware of in order to understand how you're going to grow. Usually instances that we see are set up with those small teams in mind that first wanted to use it, and they don't change, they're not updated or tweaked until the system starts to fail. And then you're scrabbling about, trying to get it up and running, just doing whatever you can, being very reactive. So we want to talk today about understanding where you are and how you should grow your system as your use grows across these different areas. So let's talk about some numbers. We're still being vague. The biggest Jira instance there is has got 5 million issues. Now, does that mean it's a really big instance? We can probably extrapolate from this that there's also a lot of projects and a lot of users. It's not just like one really busy dev. But issue number on its own isn't necessarily a great marker of an instance. We need to talk about the other things. So we'll talk about users. The biggest Jira there is has got 100,000 users. They're definitely using Data Center. But really, anything over about 500 users, we need to start thinking seriously about how big we are and what the scale is. So, 500 users, and I actually know people that have got less users than that's experienced some issues as well. The most customized Jira has got 4,800 custom fields. The average for a big instance is actually 900 custom fields. I'm going to give you, with my consulting hat on today, give everyone some free consulting as your gift. That's too many. There's a lot of places where you've got all these custom fields, and the reason is there's always lots of duplication. There's like 20 fields for due date. You've got due date, deadline, completion date, to be done by, and it's just because no one's had any governance around how you actually created those custom fields. They probably all have a global context, which is going to slow you down and not give you the versatility of using the same fields between projects. I'm actually not saying that you have to reduce the custom fields and make your system really vanilla. I'm just saying that you probably needlessly have too many due to duplication. Another common metric people use is the number of projects in an instance. So a big Jira instance would have 1,200 projects. That's the average. But that doesn't really mean anything to us. It's about the configuration of those projects. Is it one shared configuration? Are they all using the same issue type scheme and one workflow? Or are they all like snowflakes where they have different workflows across them all? Speaking of workflows, the average number of workflows is 400 in a big instance. That's still too many. You probably find huge overlap in processes, but the problem is the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. What you really want to do with workflows to limit the number you have is have a master list of states. The states people can choose to make their workflows. And that's all about having a common understanding and a common language. So you don't have resolved versus done versus closed, completed. We have to make sure that we're actually using the same words that mean the same things, and then what you'll find is the number of workflows you need actually reduces. I've seen examples where a project's got two workflows. One of them said to do, in progress, done. Another one was open, in development, closed. That's the same thing. And it's just about having a little bit of governance around how you actually create these workflows, and it pays dividends, not just in the overhead of having extra workflows in the back end, but in terms of how you actually scale your system and do things like reporting. Growing your system is not just about performance, it's about usability and value to the customers using it. So if you can't do easy reporting because you've got 200 states and you don't know if it's resolved or closed or done that you should be looking at, there's no value there. So all these things contribute and are really, really important. So have a think about where you sit and the rate that you're growing at. And as you grow and the tools become ever more important to the business and the users that require them every single day, you're going to need to consider other ways of maintaining the service.